The Augusta National Golf Club, home to the Masters, is admitting women for the first time in 80 years. Here to discuss the impact on the golfing industry is John Paul Newport. He is the Wall Street Journal's longtime golf columnist. Let's just take the big picture approach right now, John Paul. How big of a day is this for golf?
Well, it's big news. It's great news in almost everybody's eyes. I think Bobby Jones, the founder of Augusta National, may be rolling in his grave, but almost nobody else will. It's also long overdue and honestly not all that surprising. It's surprising that it happened today, but it was going to happen. It was almost clearly going to happen.
Before we dig into the two women who were selected to be the inaugural female members, the why now? I mean, there has been this push for the last decade, very high-profile push, even including among President Obama. Mitt Romney has weighed in, said he thought that Augusta should let women in, and they've sort of written it out and said we wouldn't do it with a gun to our head. Why did they do it now?
Probably because it was the most unexpected out-of-the-blue time they could come up with, where it didn't seem like they were doing it in response to a bayonet in their face. I think the tipping point of pressure maybe had come recently.
So let's ask the why of the two women that they did choose. Condoleezza Rice, former Secretary of State, and Darla Moore, who is big in the finance industry. Why these two women to be number one and number two?
Well, gender aside, they are perfect Augusta National members. They are extremely prominent, wealthy, accomplished people who are avid golfers. I mean, the people that are members of Augusta love the game of golf. They support it. Both of these women are known avid golfers, so they're perfect.
What is it that lets you become a member? I mean, it's sort of a secret, clandestine process to get into Augusta. But from what you know, John Paul, what are the criteria they use to judge someone, male or female, to get into their ranks?
Well, it's a club, so you want people that get along. I think small personality things are important. They don't want people that are boastful or all about status, even though they are all high-status members. You don't apply to Augusta National. In fact, if you apply, that's probably going to assure that you don't get in. You're nominated and considered by members without usually even knowing you're being considered, and then maybe a call in the middle of the night, and voila, you're a member. It's a secretive process that takes years and years.
Any chance there will be any backlash at all from some members who just thought things should have stayed the way they were?
Probably there'll be some grumbling among some sorts, but I think this is quite a minority. I've talked to several members over the years, and they all just were happy to have this happen. It was just a question of timing, I think. And Augusta is run by the chairman. It's not a lot of membership committees that vote on things. It's a small little benign dictatorship. And Billy Payne, the current chairman, is a big advocate of women. I mean, I think he's wanted to admit women for quite some years, honestly. It's just a matter of when he could make it happen.
Well, that brings up a very good point. I mean, his predecessor, former club chairman Hoodie Johnson, he had really stood his ground saying, we're not going to do this. We're not going to let women in with a gun to our head or at the point of a bayonet. But lots of people thinking that Billy Payne, the current chairman, would do it when he could. Do you think this changing of the guard at the top was critical for this to happen?
Probably. Augusta National moves very slowly. It always has. So things will gestate and take a while. Hoodie Johnson said we will never admit women members at the point of a bayonet. But in the same statement, the same sentence, he said, I'm not ruling out that we will admit women in the future. It's just we don't want to be pressured by outside forces to do it.
Do you think we will start to see a groundswell of female members, or is there just never a groundswell of members ever at Augusta? It's just whenever they feel like it.
I think the club has maybe 300 members. If they start to admit them in equal percentage to men, it would probably take another couple of years to create two foursomes of women at the club. It's a slow process.
Let me ask you one last question before we let you go. Do you think having women be members there will change the dynamic of the club?
Well, I heard one member say that the main reason they were reluctant to admit members was not anything about the daily operation of the club. Women have been allowed to play the course and welcomed as guests for decades. That's not new. The South Carolina women's golf team practices there. Women have always been allowed in the clubhouse, but there are 4 days where they have big membership weekends, which are all male. And I guess that's going to change a little bit. I'm not sure how because I don't know much about those weekends.
Those 4 days. So we have all this movement for the 4 days. But very last thing, what is the draw to Augusta to begin with, aside from being associated with the club that hosts the Masters? Why do people want to belong there?
Well, it's the course, the fame. Bobby Jones founded it. There's no more. Without a question, if you ask somebody where they'd most like to play that they haven't played, a golfer will say Augusta National. Part of it's the very exclusivity. Everybody wants to be a member of the club that won't have them as a member. And it's a great course. The members are as high a status as you can get in this country.
And now 2 women have achieved that status. John Paul Newport, he is our golfing guy here at the Wall Street Journal. Thanks so much, John.